Welcome back to the SXS Guys Offroad Podcast. I'm Big Z.
I'm Ian with Full Throttle Battery.
And we're back live here on the streams, on the tubes.
Yeah, pressure's on.
We're doing live on Facebook and YouTube today, just like we did with the Polaris Pro R launch. Today they're launching the Ranger XP Kinetic, their first EV official, like, UTV supplant power engine, whatever.
Yeah, they've been doing the battery-powered thing for a little while now, and this is kind of their first aggressive move towards that platform to kind of do like dual sport purpose type stuff. So kind of interesting to see where they go.
Yeah, I think they're going to get started here in just a second. Now, if you've been following their website and stuff, you're probably already aware, or if you follow our pages, obviously, I've already posted some of the specs and the pictures of the colorways and things like that of the new model. But being in the battery industry, I'm assuming you're pretty interested in seeing what this is.
Yeah, hopefully they cover some of the things that, this thing's not going to be powered by, conventional chemistries that you would find under the hood of a car. It's going to be powered by a lithium battery pack, and lithium battery packs are, as the release goes on, we can kind of address some of the things that are inherently a concern with a lithium battery pack. If you want to talk about just a couple of them right off the top, shock and vibration is a concern. The lithium cells are pretty resilient to that type of abuse, but batteries that are powered by lithium technology, especially in a cycling application, have what's called a BMS, and that's a battery management system. And anything that is man-made, I'll quote BJ Baldwin, there isn't a material on earth that survives off-road. And in the golf industry, lithium battery packs operate anywhere. This is what I've seen. Companies will tell you differently. Trust me. Because lithium advertises itself as a chemistry that's set to last anywhere between 10 to 20 years. 10 to 15 is kind of the threshold there. And they'll tell you that it's super reliable, super sustainable. It's not. It's in the golf industry, the people that I work with, the people that I call on, I see. And guys, for every battery that I put into a Polaris RZR, I put 100 to 200 into a golf cart, an aerial work platform, and these are all the same style, same size of battery, and we operate at a 0.9% warranty rate. The lithium that I see, the lithium that I compete against is roughly about 15 to 25%, and that's a problem. If there's a 25% chance that your airplane's going to crash, you're going to get on the plane? Probably not. So there's good applications for lithium, partial state of charge type applications, because if there's one thing Polaris is probably not going to cover today that's a really, really cool factor about this machine, it's the fact that when you go to recharge this thing, if you do it on a conventional battery chemistry, let's just say the charge time is like 12 hours, charging a lithium pack is probably going to take, a fraction of that. So that's an advantage. Maybe not necessarily, it's definitely not an advantage over fuel, where all you got to do is dump a bunch of gas in and go. But nonetheless, if we're talking about EV, it is an advantage. And as everybody has seen with the Tesla and stuff like that, the ability to make power by way of an electric motor is insane.
Right.
So we'll see.
This is quite unique for Polaris. Am I on the right YouTube channel here? This is very techie looking. Is this one of Google's intro things?
Oh, it's got a countdown on it. Here we go. And the countdown reset.
This is all pre-produced video, so I don't know what this would all be leading up to.
All right, while this is going on, let's see what we got in the chat. Joe Merrill commented, hydrogen fuel cell cars, I believe, is the answer, as they don't need large energy density battery to function. Yeah, I think a lot of this is going to come down to, truth be told, I don't have a heck of a lot of experience with stuff like that, but I will say that a lot of this is going to come down to the ability for the components to withstand insane amounts of abuse.
The shock factor is a huge part of it. The recharge time is going to be a big part of it. The weight is going to be a big part of it. Lithium has the benefit of being super light compared to a flooded battery or something like that, right? That's why a lot of racers use it and stuff like that. So if you go look at the specs that we launched this morning on the vehicle, it is only, I think, 100 pounds heavier than a standard XP 1000. So I'm super surprised at that number. You would figure that this would be quite a bit heavier vehicle for what it's doing, but I'm super curious on why we have this intro on.
We can mute it one way or the other. Because that is some low-grade elevator music right there.
Well, you are wearing like hipster clothes today, so.
Yeah.
Let's make sure we're on the right path here.
It's winter, dude. We're getting cold out there.
Nope, that's the video. All right, we'll leave it. We'll just let it run. All right, we'll switch to that view. So, as far as Rangers go, what's kind of your perspective on Rangers and where they fall in line with your desire to ride off-road?
I think Rangers are awesome, like out on the farm and stuff. Basic trail riding, this, that, and the other. I know Rangers kind of scratched the itch for a lot of people, for being like a dual-purpose machine. Me personally, I'm going to always lean to and buy the machine that gives me the best amount of power, best power-to-weight ratio, and most suspension travel, just because I never know where I'm going to wind up riding. So the Rangers of the world, the Defenders of the world, although I think they're amazing, I think they're really cool, they really don't fit in my realm,
right.
But let's call it what it is, man. I mean, you want to do some like overlanding and stuff, it's solid.
Yeah.
It's a great place to start. But if while you're doing that overlanding, if you want to absolutely rip, might not be the best choice. So
yeah, I've always looked at the Rangers as far as the platform goes as a pretty versatile platform for what they intend it to be used for. The bed and how you can utilize that for work and play. The upright bench seat makes it easy to get in and out of. There's really no complications to the car. It's kind of people call it a glorified golf cart, but I see that as a positive, as in it's easy to access, it's easy to drive, it's easy to do what you want to do. I know a number of guys that use them up in the mountains, and they're quite capable of going anywhere you want them to go. The low gearing doesn't mean you're going to go down the trail very fast, but unfortunately, that's just the nature of those targeted cars. Now, that being said, I have seen guys turbo these cars.
Sure.
I have seen guys put long travel on these cars. I've
you
seen
can
big
make 'em
tires. We've seen snow tracks put on these things. We've seen these things go anywhere and do everything: dunes, rocks, snow, everything. So I think it'll be exciting to see the electric platform come to fruition. Now, this is their partnership with Zero Motorcycles.
Yeah.
So they signed an exclusive, I think it's like a 10-year partnership with them or something, to develop these electric vehicles, and they're going to do the entire fleet of vehicles. So we're going to see this be a precursor to Razors, Generals,
right.
Quads. Actually, that's going to be kind of cool. If you could see a Sportsman XP electric, would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, my guess is they're doing something to keep the battery pack warm as well. Like as you drop temperature, you lose capacity. Let's just say, I don't know the exact math. I used to. I should know.
Here we go.
But, the battery, the capacity drops as the temperature drops. At 0 degrees, you might only be operating at 30% of the battery's capacity.
Right.
It's time to find out.
I dig the light bar.
Across the grill?
Yeah.
That's bitching.
Hello, I'm Steve Minetto,
Hi, Steve.
President of Polaris Off-Road Vehicles. Thanks for joining us today for one of the most exciting product launches in power sports history. From sleds to side-by-sides, we are a company full of riders who are always pushing the envelope and developing new and exciting ways to get outside. And when we spend time with our customers, either on the trail or at work, we are constantly listening for innovative ways to help them go further and do more.
I'm feeling
You've
Steve's
seen us
mustache.
do this with the introduction of Ride Command across our brands, dynamics on our Razor products, safety features like geofencing and helmet aware in our youth line.
These are all great features.
And climate control in our North Star
Industry-leading
Rangers.
features.
By now, you've probably seen our Electric Test Grounds campaign for the new full-size electric Ranger. Since we announced our plans for this product, we've seen interest in our off-road electrification absolutely skyrocket. And when it comes to designing full electric vehicles, we've teamed up with the best. With more than 15 years of experience, Zero Motorcycles is a global leader in electric powertrains and technology. We combine Zero's expertise in electric with our leadership in off-road vehicles to design and build the most capable, the most durable, highest performing
I've always wanted to try an
UTV
electric
ever.
dirt bike.
Before we dive into the product, let me be clear. We didn't set out to build an electric Ranger. We set out to build the best Ranger ever, one that addresses real-world needs for our farmers, ranchers, hunters, and landowners. Today, we are once again taking a bold step forward,
fancy wall.
redefining what a UTV can be, thanks to the power of electric technology. With that, I'm excited to
do my whole
introduce
office in
the
that video wall.
all-new Ranger XP Kinetic.
We could be the beach, anywhere we want.
Cue the
It's
B-roll.
time you had the
Volume
power
change. Holy cow.
to do more.
They really like this light bar. They show it a lot.
Introducing the revolutionary, all-new, all-electric Ranger XP Kinetic. For the very first time in the history of side-by-side utility, electric actually means more capable.
If you'll notice, there's a tooth-driven belt on that, not a CVT.
XP Kinetic's advanced electric drivetrain generates instant torque, an industry-leading 140 pound-feet of it. It lets you effortlessly tow up to 2,500 pounds and delivers incredibly precise control at low speeds. XP Kinetic also has the highest horsepower ever found in a utility side-by-side and the capability to translate that power directly into productivity. Fill the box all the way up to its astounding 1,250 pound capacity.
That's a
and
lot.
XP Kinetic easily hauls the massive load. You make fewer trips and get more done in less time. And because it's a Ranger, XP Kinetic goes anywhere the job takes you, with the ground clearance and suspension travel you'd expect from the off-road utility leader.
Upgraded from 13
Just
inches,
like you, XP Kinetic has what it takes to keep going all
27
day
to
long.
29 inch tires as well.
State-of-the-art
probably
lithium-ion
where they got that
batteries
clarity.
and regenerative braking that recharges them every time you take your foot off the accelerator gives you a range of up to 80 miles on a single charge. And customizing XP Kinetic to help you
80
do
miles
more is
on
fast
the
and easy.
Ultimate. The Premium is
95%
less than that.
compatibility with XP 1000 accessories gives you instant access to industry-leading cab systems, powerful winches, and versatile storage options. There's even a fast-acting electric heater designed exclusively for XP Kinetic to keep you working
Wonder if you can
comfortably
install that
when
on
the
a
weather
different
turns
model.
cold.
If it's electric, it should just be wired in.
Making the jump to electric now means more durability, too. Without oil, plugs, filters, or clutches to service, XP Kinetic has the industry's most advanced drivetrain.
Their website doesn't
Fewer
show
moving
any
parts,
specs on it,
less
but
required
if you look at the
maintenance,
videos, the
lowers your
shocks
cost of ownership,
really aren't any different than the
reduces
shocks on the
downtime,
current XP1000s,
and gives you the
which I was kind of hoping for them to do like a
confidence of 3-year
general
powertrain
XP1000
coverage
setup where they
and
upgrade the
5-year
shocks on the
battery
premium model.
coverage. With XP Kinetic, going electric
That
also
is
means
what I
more
want.
refined performance.
I want to be able to go
starting
silent
with
when
a
I want
quieter
to.
Ride. Whether you're simply trying to hold a conversation,
How many times
Neat.
have you tried
taking a
talking to somebody
stealthy
without
approach
comms
to
in the
your
car?
hiding spot,
Oh, it's
or
bliss.
just looking for a little more peace and comfort during long work days, XP
I wanna hear that
Kinetic
motor
delivers
sing.
a dramatically quieter off-road experience. Selectable drive modes let you select the power you need for the task at hand. There's an Eco Plus mode to help maximize range. And when you're in a hurry, a Sport mode for instant acceleration.
Just to answer Joe's mention about hydrogen, hydrogen setups are a lot heavier and bulkier than just a pure electric like this. That's why no one really considers it for these small cars.
Back to your charging station is always visible at a glance. The off-road's most sophisticated GPS system makes it easy to find your way out on the trail. And if you're on foot, it can even help lead you back to where you parked. When you get back home, more refined performance includes filling up. There's no gas or cans to deal with. Electric charging costs less per mile than gasoline. And thanks to the power of Ride Command, useful info like current battery status and remaining charge time is always at your fingertips. With Ranger XP Kinetic, electric has earned its place at the forefront of off-road utility. Now the world's hardest working people have a revolutionary choice in how jobs get done. Ranger XP Kinetic. The power to do more.
Lightbar. I think we're just going to start all of our shows with a Lightbar hit. First, the Pro XP got a mustache. Now the Ranger got a mustache. What's next to get a mustache? Oh, I see what it is. It's all to match the CEO's mustache. It's a mustache initiative.
Today, I'm excited to walk you through an in-depth look at the all-new, all-electric Ranger XP Kinetic, built off the legendary Ranger platform. Ranger is the hardest-working, smoothest-riding utility side-by-side, and there's no doubt XP Kinetic delivers on this promise.
That bumper comes with the Rangers, all the trims, but the winch does not.
It's absolutely incredible. The innovative electric powertrain unlocks a whole new level of capability, durability, and performance. This revolutionary vehicle is built for farmers, ranchers, hunters, and landowners who take pride in the work, value accomplishment.
What do you think of the Kinetic name?
Let that sink in.
Oh, a target audience right there in a nutshell.
They're right out in front of it.
Yeah.
This is not a dual sport machine to go out in the mountains and explore in.
They're going to hit the hunting market here in a second.
Oh, the hunting. Yeah, I mean, hunting for sure.
But you trailer to pretty close to where you're going to hunt. So 80 miles is more than capable of doing hunting.
100%.
Yeah,
for sure.
The electric motor on the XP Kinetic produces an industry-leading 110 horsepower and an astounding 140 pound-feet of torque. That's nearly 35% more power and 2 times more torque.
I wonder if you're going to start seeing groundskeepers at golf courses. And I don't mean that as shot at
Together,
all.
the
Start to use that, because
why would you use like a Cub Cadet or something when you could use this?
Why would you use something that was making noise?
True.
Don't do anything in my backswing, Zach.
I'm going to sneak up behind you and push you with the bumper.
All of this combined means you can confidently
2,500 pound towing,
haul more,
1,250 payload,
even in the toughest terrain.
2-inch receiver
What's
on the back.
more, XP Kinetic delivers the off-road capability and smooth ride you've come to expect from Ranger. It features a class-leading 14 inches of ground clearance to confidently rise over obstacles.
Dual A
and it's
arms all the way
equipped with a
around.
29-inch
On YouTube, we got a comment, Chevy is top. I can see the benefit for municipalities or school campuses type settings. I kind of think this might be municipalities for sure, but like school campuses, this is a little aggressive for that, I think. You know, it's more of an off-road.
I think he's referring to collegiate.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're like plowing snow with it or something, but
that's a big deal for them.
It says, but I don't see farmers or hunters lining up.
I would, if they're rural farmers.
Maybe.
Or urban farmers.
I mean,
adverse weather,
most farmers have got...
they just showed -8 operating temperature.
It's up to the task.
So.
Yeah, so it's got a heated blanket around that battery pack then.
Square bale hauling, trailer towing power, and torque to the ground. XP Kinetic features our most durable drivetrain
see this being a huge security forces car,
drive design
like the campus security or
improved durability and low-speed drivability.
Stadium security, things like that.
The electric powertrain does not require oil changes,
and then you can put anything you want in the back.
Replacements, spark plugs, or clutch maintenance. In fact, scheduled maintenance costs
I heard a joke today about how squeaky the car is going to be with no motor noise to hide it.
Yeah.
It's simple, really. Fewer moving parts means less scheduled maintenance and more uptime, so you can focus on getting the job done.
Yeah, I'm not scared by the 80-mile range. Out at my farm, 80 miles is totally doable.
Yeah, you'll see nowhere on here it says overlanding.
Right, for sure.
And 5-year battery coverage.
So they just showed the warranty being 1, 3, and 5. It's 1 year standard, but you can upgrade through their warranty program up to 3 years on the driveline and 5 years on the battery. And I highly recommend that everybody upgrade those warranties as their first option.
XP Kinetic offers incredibly refined performance. The all-new electric powertrain delivers clean, quiet operation for easy conversations with friends and family while riding or stealthy.
Joe, the recharge time is stated at 5 hours from 0 to 100 on the standard platform using the included charging system. But they had said that if you upgrade to the 220 install setup option, that you can charge lower than that. They just don't state a time for that.
and we're confident you're going to love it. The electric powertrain also delivers the most usable torque ever available in
5
a
hours is
utility
really
side-by-side, and it's
Really
nearly instantaneous in response. In other words, you will get the performance you need when you need it.
And if you got a
The
faster
XP
option, if
Kinetic
it puts it down to
gives you
4 or
incredibly
3.5,
precise
that's even
control
way
when
faster
operating
than
at
that.
slow
So
speeds.
Do you
Whether
see
it's
anywhere
backing
where it
up a
says
trailer,
how many amp hours that battery
towing,
pack is?
or spraying a fence line.
not amp hours, but they are
When it's
saying
time
the
to have
kilowatt.
some fun, step on the pedal, and that instant acceleration will push you back in your seat. This machine is an absolute blast to drive.
I
XP
posted
Kinetic
it on
also
Facebook and
offers smart
Instagram
performance
today.
features
Let me
to
pull
help
it
you
up. Oh, I got it in
maximize
my notes. Where's my
productivity.
notes?
A 12-volt cargo box
So it's a
outlet to power
14.9
accessories
kilowatt
like
hour on the
sprayers
premium and a
or charge
29.8
portable
kilowatt
batteries.
hour on the Ultimate.
Plus, a new shifter design includes high, low, neutral, and park, but features a new integrated switch for forward and reverse. So you can change direction quicker and easier than ever before.
Rocker switch for
with the
forward
flip
and
of a
reverse.
switch. This is especially beneficial
means you get
if
high
you
and
use
low
your
in
Ranger
reverse.
for plowing.
Which means
Additionally, XP
the
Kinetic
transformation
also
to golf
features
cart has
3 drive modes
is now complete.
optimized to
Does
driving
it have a high pitched
conditions.
whine when you
Yeah.
put it in reverse?
Eco Plus mode optimizes performance
also
for
has turf
maximum
mode.
range and light-duty jobs. Standard mode optimizes throttle response for everyday driving and moderate-sized jobs. And Sport mode enables maximum performance for spirited driving and the toughest jobs.
I love that term,
XP
spirited
Kinetic is
driving.
also packed with connected vehicle and technology features. An available 7-inch infotainment screen powered by Ride Command lets you work and play smarter than ever. You get added peace of mind with the ability to
Mind
see
you, the
estimated
more
range
accessories you run
and
on this
battery
thing, the
state of
quicker the
charge
battery gets discharged.
directly on
For
the
sure.
7-inch screen. With GPS
Oh, I did
mapping,
see something that's pretty
you can even
critical.
drop a waypoint
It said that
on your charging
95%
location
of
always know
aftermarket
how far you
accessories
are
for the
from your
Ranger
next
will fit on
charge.
this.
This is exactly the same
Additionally,
chassis, so
we are
it
launching
should
new
only things that
connected
won't will
technology
be anything related to
with Ride
suspension
Command
or
Plus that enables advanced owner
those,
control over both the
petrol
vehicle
accessories.
and ride experience. Ride Command Plus creates visibility to key information such as issue diagnostics,
Joe says the Harman Kardon's
vehicle
designing
location,
engine
remote
noise
vehicle
sounds for
health,
their
all from
EV
the
vehicles.
convenience of your phone.
Can I get
Added
one that just goes
confidence
whomp,
and peace of mind.
whomp?
All of this innovation
wanna
and
sound-
technology is to help you
I want
go
mine to
further.
sound like a two-stroke dirt bike.
For further customization,
The Chad mode.
Ranger XP Kinetic has 95% compatibility with XP 1000 accessories. So it's easy to get the same great selection of Ranger accessories you have today, allowing you to get the job done better. This means the same great Pro Shield cab
Chevy, no,
systems
it's not
for
available in the
tight
crew as
sealing
of this
and
moment, but they
all-season
will
rider comfort.
more than likely launch
Plus,
one in the next
easy to
few
install
months.
Pro HD
That's how they
winches
work. They operate
offer
on a
added pulling power for
2-seat,
clearing
3-seat
obstacles,
launch, and then they
while
come up with a
lock-and-ride
4-seat,
storage
6-seat
keeps
launch
tools
later.
and gear secure while riding. New accessories for XP Kinetic include a fast-acting electric heater, so you can ride in comfort in cool weather. Additionally, an upgraded onboard charging system offers faster charging, so you can have the confidence the vehicle is ready when you are. Ranger XP Kinetic will be available in
Surprised they
2
don't have a
trims.
heated seat option.
The premium trim is equipped with
Yeah, one of the nice
14.9
features about
kilowatt
lithium
hours
too
of
is there's
battery
no
capacity.
there's no
You can
downward
achieve up
trend.
to an estimated
So you run at
45
peak
doesn't fade.
performance
range on a
until it's
single
dead,
charge.
And then it dies.
and then it's flat.
Ultimate trim adds the available 7-inch infotainment screen.
So if you're out in the
powered by Ride
trees,
Command,
Right.
you know
and
when
is
you're
equipped
stranded.
with 29.8
Right.
kilowatt hours of battery capacity. Good for up to an estimated 80 miles of range on a single charge.
On eco mode.
With state-of-the-art
And that is
lithium-ion
up to
batteries
80 miles.
and regenerative braking,
That's
this machine is ready for a full day of work.
I would have
whether on
loved
the
to have
hunt,
seen it say
the
100.
farm,
yeah.
or in the backyard. Both trims are equipped for charging straight from the factory.
I would have come out
Whether
with
you're
a
looking
more
for an
aggressive
overnight
trim
charge
right
or
from
a
the
quick
factory,
top-off during lunch,
like
we've got you
32s.
covered. XP
you know,
Kinetic comes
Well, they did
Maybe.
upgrade from the
combined
27s to
level
29s at
one
least.
Yeah.
So they're at least
level 2
matching the
EV
razors
charge cord
as far as
that
size
allows you
goes.
to charge from a 120 volt or 240 volt outlet.
Oh, that's good.
And the head-turning LED accent light
That's really
also
good.
doubles as a state of charge indicator when
And
the
the
vehicle
mustache.
is plugged in and charging. Factory installed
Knight Rider
onboard
mode.
charging rate is 3 kilowatts for the premium and 6 kilowatts for the ultimate trim.
What do you think of
Both
that?
can reach full charge from
Much
0%
average. Yeah.
in as fast as 5 hours as equipped. With the available accessory onboard charging system, rates can be boosted to 6 kilowatts for premium and 9 kilowatts for ultimate for up to 50% faster charge times.
50%.
A 240
Yeah,
volt
it's 2.5
outlet is
hours, that's
needed
pretty
for the
good.
fastest possible charging. For those customers looking to set
Wonder
up
if that's
a
only on the
240
smaller
volt
one, though.
solution, we've partnered with Qmerit, experts in EV home charging solutions, to make installation
Familiar?
quick and convenient.
Here's the
There
thing
you
about
have
lithium,
it.
man.
The all-new Ranger XP Kinetic.
Lithium
First of its
companies,
kind,
there isn't
all-electric
one in America
off-road
that
vehicle
operates in the black.
designed to deliver
Not a single one.
uncompromised capability,
They go under and go
unrivaled
out of business
durability,
just as
and
quick as
refined
they start.
performance.
So
With
from
that,
a charging
I'm gonna pass it
standpoint,
back
from
to
a
Steve
battery
to close it out.
standpoint, these guys are making batteries out of lithium that's sourced from the same place all over the
They're all
world.
doing the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Thanks,
I mean, well, I mean,
As you can
some are
see,
doing
the
it
all-new
better
Ranger
for sure,
XP
but
Kinetic
it
is
hasn't
truly the
proven to be
hardest-working, smoothest
very
riding
good
Ranger
quality
ever
just
built.
because lithium's kind of having a race
Uncompromised
to the
capability
basement because
means
it's
you get
expensive.
more done than ever before, while unrivaled durability means less maintenance for maximizing your uptime. Refined performance from the quiet electric powertrain delivers an exhilarating ride with instantaneous torque and unmatched power. Ranger XP Kinetic
Mustache.
delivers an off-road experience unlike
Does Steve's
any
mustache
other,
adjust on his
giving you
energy
the
level
power to
like
do
the Ranger
more.
does?
Visit Ranger.
Mine goes up and down with my cell phone.
today to learn more.
My cell phone's at 50%. I'm a bucket of crap.
Is that it?
Oh.
Oh, I was hoping for more. All right, well, is what it is. So, initial thoughts.
I would have to agree with the commenter online that for municipalities and stuff like that, that this thing makes a lot of sense. I have no doubt it's going to be successful, but you know, a rancher that has a 500-gallon diesel tank filled with red diesel, or another fuel tank that has gas in it, and his fleet is 90% diesel. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, would I love to have a vehicle like this that never got off the farm? I don't know, man. I mean, I'm in a position where I want multiple purpose off of a machine that I'm going to spend $25,000 on, because let's call it what it is, $25,000 buys you one heck of a truck and a whole lot of gas. You know, if all you're doing is just throwing hay around.
If you're on the farm,
fence.
$25,000 is a lot for a truck.
Oh yeah, and if all you're doing, I mean, historically, when I go out and check fence, I'm on a John Deere. I'm not on a quad or a side by side.
The other thing about that is, you know, like you were saying, if you have a 300-gallon diesel tank, you know, you want all your vehicles to use the same tank.
Right.
And so the electric's nice because you already have electricity, so you're just tying into that. But I would say that if you have what I call the suburban farmers, the guys that have 5, 10, 15, 25 acres, whatever, on the outside of town, this is probably a great solution for them.
Yeah.
For the guys that are out in the boonies that have, you know, 200, 300 acres, whatever, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times those guys are affected by electric rates fluctuating too, because of basically where they're at.
Yeah, electric's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere in aerial work platform. It's not going anywhere in pallet jacks or anything like that. You can't have emissions in a confined space. You can't have emissions in a reefer. You can't have emissions at a big warehouse that they're storing food or anything like that. So it's not going.
I didn't even think about the industrial side, indoor industrial.
Right. So it's not going anywhere in those capacities. But like, the thing that kind of has me scratching my head as far as like sustainability goes, and as far as EV goes and stuff, is diesel. You know, they've proven that they can do diesel. They can do it clean. And with diesel, you have, I mean, listen, I saw a metric the other day that if 25% of Americans operated a diesel vehicle, we would increase our fuel ability to, you know, in terms of what it is that we generate for fuel,
our carbon footprint.
Yeah, I mean, essentially we would expand what we have in our oil reserves by something like 200 years. And that's just if 25% of Americans operated a diesel vehicle. And I know Polaris has dabbled in diesel.
They have diesel.
Yeah,
yep.
They have diesel. So
they even have diesel options and razors and stuff for government.
Imagine if they did a diesel motor, a small diesel motor in a Ranger. That'd be so sick. Like, it would be a situation where you manage, our live video ended, to a vehicle that could increase by 25-30% of its range.
I've never understood why they never offered a diesel version of their cars to the general public. I think the general public is smart enough to know why they would want a diesel and what the limitations of that would be. I'd be up for a diesel, you know, for going out in the mountains. I think that'd be a great option, especially when we go to those small towns that don't have, you know, high grade petrol or anything like that. It's just, low of the barrel 87 or diesel. And that's it.
Yeah.
And we experienced some of that on the Idaho BDR, what that gets you. So I thought I never understood why they never offered that. But as far as the electric goes, I don't think anyone in their right state of mind was thinking they were going to come out with an equal to equal EV replacement for, a gas combustion engine vehicle. I don't think that anyone was really expecting that. Everybody wants that. Everybody wants an EV to get 150 miles, 200 miles, whatever. But I just don't think that's realistic where technology's at. But at that point, you still have to start somewhere. And I think this is a great start to a future where EV grows in the off-road world. I still think, and I've said before, that the hybrid solution is what is the solution for now. I don't think that's the end goal. I think if people were investing into a technology, a hybrid is a missed opportunity in a lot of areas.
Yeah, I mean, a hybrid with, if we're eliminating the rattle factor, if we're eliminating issues that could potentially arise from off-road abuse, a hybrid could be done in what it is that we do on these overland trips tomorrow, no problem, as long as they're relatively resilient to trail abuse.
Right. And we don't do stupid things that they're not capable of doing or that would risk parts.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is always tempting when you're out on the trail to do something different and crazy. Chevy on YouTube said that the farmers and wineries in California are going to be all over this, going green. And I think that there's a huge market in California for this, because eventually we're not going to see combustion engines being sold in California new from the dealership. So
yeah, until they elect a Republican governor,
or just a better one.
Yeah, yeah,
to go repeal all the crap,
which will happen
eventually. So yeah, I think it's a good option. I like that they didn't veer away from the existing platform too far. So all the accessories, like you had mentioned, adapting to this car, no problem, because it's all the same frame, it's all the same plastics, it's all the same stuff that you're used to. The included heater option and operating temperatures being below freezing, I think they really hit that hard, because that's usually the first thing people say about these cars, is that they're not going to operate when it gets cold.
Right. Nathan Jones quoted me. He goes, $25,000 buys you a heck of a truck and a lot of gas. Exactly my point with these vehicles geared towards this market. If I'm a farmer, rancher, why would I buy one of these when I could get a nice used truck much cheaper and far more capable and more comfortable? And you can drive down to the local mini mart and get a Pepsi.
In everywhere.
Until these things are street legal.
Yeah.
Universally, it's kind of a tough sell. But I mean, that said, in rural markets where farming exists, people don't get too uptight about seeing a side by side on the road. So
I would say there's very few farming communities that care if your UTV's on the road.
Yeah,
it's just usually the guy that has the hopped up X3 straight piped that makes people upset. So as far as auxiliary videos, they didn't really put anything out that we didn't just see already in the launch video. But what do you think about the future of maybe a electric General or electric Razor?
Electric Razor would be really interesting for the rock crawlers and the mud guys. The ability to go lightweight and short course and stuff like that. If all you're doing is racing, I'm sure there's a market, but is it really worth the R&D for the Polarises and the Can-Ams to come out with something that's so niche? I can't.
They already have some niche products, including the Pro R.
For sure.
But I'm super excited, and I think I've mentioned this before, the idea of getting electric drivetrains in these UTVs for the racing application. When we're talking about sand drags and things like that, the instant torque, the instant power, and then the tuning of that is all literally how you want to tune your car's application of that power. I said in the video that the CVT is gone, but they do still have a belt in them. Mm-hmm. It's a toothed belt to drive the gear, which means you still have a belt to maintain. You're not in there blowing it out because it's not getting dusty and stuff like that. But, I think the future of racing is really interesting when we talk about EV and how that applies. And a lot of gearheads in their garage making fast cars are going to have to start now learning how to program and how to do math and all this other stuff.
Well, and let's not fool ourselves. This stuff isn't going anywhere.
No,
for sure, it's not going anywhere. So,
but I just think the future, like how that competitive advantage now becomes something that can be looking at and talking about and exploring new options. I think that's awesome. Like the guys putting Tesla motors in, Pintos and then racing them on the on the racetrack and getting banned. I think that's cool. Another thing that I forgot to bring up is that the specs say the water fording spec is the floorboards. So essentially what they're saying is don't put this thing in the water.
Yeah.
And that has me concerned a little bit. Because when we talk about lithium and we talk about water, if lithium and water play together, they don't usually play nice.
Well, lithium and air don't play nice. So oxygen and lithium do not play nice at all. And they said there's a lithium ion pack in there. Mm-hmm. So there's lithium ion, there's lithium ion phos. So lithium ion phos, everybody will say is much more. It's not going to ignite. BS. Been doing this for 20 years. I've seen lithium ion phos ignite. I've got photos of it ignited, and lithium is one of those things that when it ignites, it's very, very difficult to get out. And
there was
from a fire standpoint, last place that you want to have a fire is in the freaking wilderness.
Yeah. The first Ranger EV to go up in flames isn't going to help the Razor on fire memes at all.
I didn't say it.
But there's a famous incident where the hurricane went through New York, and one of the electric car companies' lots full of cars all caught fire due to the flood, and they were using basically the same technology, the lithium ion electric technology. And they all started mixing with water and air and started expanding the cells, and then they got exposed and he overheated and caught fire and all that stuff. So a whole city block basically blew up in electrical fires.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see, what exactly the durability of these machines are. And for the most part, when they say no water above the floorboards, what they're saying is
keep it off the electrical.
Keep it dry. Yeah. And that's a bummer. I would hope to have seen, and maybe that's just a legal thing.
Yeah, and unless you're in Arizona or California, well, California, I see Arizona people doing puddle jumps and stuff like that. I mean, if I'm paying $25,000 for an off-road rig, I want to go everywhere.
Well, you want to be able to go through the mud, or go through a stream, or like if you're out on a farm, and farms aren't flat. They have ups and downs and water collections and all sorts of stuff.
If I worked at Polaris Marketing, I would literally hand one of these rigs to Slick Rock immediately and just say, make it awesome, take it to Sand Hollow, take it to Moab, and go crazy.
Yeah.
That would be bitching. I mean, because the power and the torque of an EV on rock crawling, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty sick.
Yeah, it'll be cool. I think it'll be, when we see, so at UTV Takeover Sand Hollow, I went out with Brandon from HCR and their huge Polaris Ranger build that had 42s and 6-inch portals and all that stuff. You can only imagine what an EV of that size and that suspension could do. I mean, you're talking about having to upgrade axles. You're having to upgrade a lot of the components that you put the torque down. So it'd be interesting to see who puts the first EV portaled rock crawler or whatever out there and how it does.
That'd be bitching.
And with the electric switch to reverse and having high-low gear in reverse, if they don't limit that, would be really interesting to see who's the first one to go backwards up some of these obstacles.
Yeah, somebody's going to do that for sure.
But I'm excited. I think it's cool. Dallas, you said no reason you shouldn't be able to drive this underwater. I think we just covered exactly why you wouldn't want to drive that underwater, but you never know. They might just be covering their butt legally to say don't go in the water, just like they do with don't put gas in the back of a Razor and all that stuff.
The electrical components on the actual motor, if you're going up to the floorboard and stuff like that, a lot of those are going to be exposed to the water. As far as where the battery is in the back, I assume the battery is probably under the hood. In the front, that would be my guess. So as far as the actual battery being submerged, I don't think there's going to be anything exposed tremendously. But like I said earlier, the BMS, the battery management systems on these battery packs, they are susceptible to damage. And they're susceptible to damage via vibration as well. Now, that said, Zero Motorcycles has been out a long time.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you can make a BMS, because I've watched, this is Northwest. I've watched Josh Hill, professional motocross rider. He's been on EV dirt bikes for a long time, and he'll go out there and huck a frickin' dirt bike off a stadium triple, and they seem to be relatively reliable, but there's a big difference between a 200-pound motocross bike and a 1800
on a dry dirt track.
on a dirt track, and an 1,800-pound side-by-side. Like, the vibrations are a little different, this, that, and the other, and the suspension on a motocross bike is light years ahead of what's on this RZR.
Well,
I'm sorry,
more
on this
forgiving
Ranger.
too. You don't have as much mass and a bunch of other stuff. So, and you got things like your legs being shocks and things like that. But the interesting thing is that the technology with these EVs has gone a long way from the old days where it was like if you short something and then the whole thing fries or whatever. My boys are into Mythbusters and all this other stuff, and they watched the Mythbusters garage where they submerged an electric car to see how far it would go and how long it would last and if it would short out or not. And basically the management system is what shorts out. It has a safety that says, hey, I'm getting current in places I shouldn't be getting current, so I'll just turn everything off and kill the system. So I'm sure that's exactly what they've got going on. They got some sort of, over voltage water detection type sensor that shuts the system off and stops it from blowing up underneath your feet. So,
Right. So overall, you a buyer?
I don't think I'm a buyer unless I had expendable income just to play with it.
Sure.
I'm the guy that as soon as I see this, I'm like, I want to take it out and put it in a razor and see what happens.
Polaris is going to get a lot of purchase orders from the government.
Oh, for sure.
For that rig.
I think there's a huge government, and when I say government, I mean education, law enforcement, municipalities, things like that. Like down in our local city park, downtown, they have UTVs that they drive. Yeah. And I would assume that this would be on their list of upgrades.
Yeah, I think that the thing that cops are going to love about this thing is it's just plug and play. Plug it in, turn it on, drive it. No oil changes, no fueling up, the maintenance is going to be substantially down on this thing.
For sure.
And, the military uses electric vehicles, and because I'm dumb and I'm a caveman, I asked a question once. I'm like, why are you getting so many purchase orders from the military? Do they use that stuff because it's silent? Well, they're like, well, that is a feature, but it's not a motivator. Because the reason they buy this stuff electric is because there's less rotating equipment. Yep. It's more reliable. You literally pull, and this is another thing.
And for them, if it doesn't work, they just pull it out, put a new one in, and they don't even touch it.
Yeah, and this is another thing that could potentially removable battery packs, and that's part of why the military was buying electric vehicles, is the fact that all they had to do when somebody would come back from a mission is pull the battery pack, put a new one in, and it's ready to go again. It's much more, much less rotating.
Because you could have 3 or 4 on charge and rotate them out.
Theoretically, yeah.
It'd be interesting to see where the battery is and how hard it is to remove and all that, because it would be interesting to see if that would be an option in the future to do swappables. I mean, I'm assuming the battery pack is pretty heavy, but
no, I mean, you'd be surprised. I mean, they are heavy in a golf cart, no question about it, because a lot of times they're enclosed. Definitely not as heavy as like our batteries that we manufacture, but they're not light for sure. I mean, if you
so could someone pick one up?
Well, debatable.
Yeah,
I think possibly, but let's just take like a conventional Group 27, like on a Battleborn Group 27 lithium battery. Yeah, our SLA battery, or I'm sorry, our AGM battery in a Group 27 is going to go, I don't know, maybe 58 to 64 pounds, whereas that thing's probably going to go 30, somewhere in that ballpark. So there still is some girth to it, but it's not really the lithium cells; it's mostly the electronics.
Right. I think it'd be interesting to see, because they haven't said anything about how many motors or anything like that. So it's all going to be one motor on these cars that have then, an axle and a diff and all that. I think it'd be interesting to see if the future comes out with dual motor, just like Tesla did when they started. They started with a single or a dual motor. A single, and then they went to dual motor, and then went to triple motor. I'm wondering if, the future of this looks like having, axle straight to a motor scenarios where you don't have a transmission anymore. You just have the motors and the batteries and the management system. Because if that's the case, getting rid of the diff, you're going to get rid of some power loss, some torque loss, things like that. You're going to have a lot better numbers and a lot better specs, and a lot more power to put to the ground. But to do that, you have to have a lot more power flowing through the machine. I didn't see anywhere saying what the voltage rate was on these. Because like in cars, you have... I'm not well versed in it, but I think it's like 200 volts or 400 volts, 800 volts, something like that, where they have different levels of power delivery from the battery to the motor. And I'm wondering where they're at on this.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
because that also translates to heat.
Right.
How do you manage that heat? So you talked about the cold weather. Yeah, the heat would be beneficial in that scenario, but at the same time in the summer or just even a normal day, 60 degrees, 70, 80 degrees, those can get really hot. So I'm wondering, they did spec that these are actively air and water cooled. So there is a coolant system being ran in a radiator somewhere. So I'm assuming the radiator up front is still the same radiator as before. They just adapted it over in some capacity.
Right.
And the fact that they said it's an electric heater means that the coolant system is a very short closed loop system that you're not going to tie a heater into.
Yeah. I will tell you one thing that I've noticed right now is that the level of excitement in viewership compared to the Pro XP to the electric Ranger EV is very noticeable in how many people
we
are tuning
also
in and
only
watching the
posted
show.
like a couple hours before we
Well,
went up
there's
the
that
show.
too.
So no one's used to us doing these live shows frequently. So
Yeah, I think we should start doing them every time.
I think we should be doing them more frequently.
Hell yeah.
So
Makes less work for you, dude.
Oh, tell me about it. It's the angle, really. I mean, this is why I bought all this stuff, is to make it easier and quicker. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to doing some live shows from the road.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be sick.
I think that'll be cool.
Yeah.
We had some questions about what cars we're going to look at for the next year. I think that's an episode coming up here soon that we'll have to put together, which car to buy into 2020. I think obviously this is going to be on the list somewhere as far as to be considered, but I don't know if it's the one we recommend. Ian's got his X3 all hopped up now with big power and the Pro XP with his full throttle build.
Yeah, my Pro XP, or I'm sorry, my X3 is not going anywhere for at least probably 12 to 24 months. That is, unless somebody comes to me with a mint condition 1977 Bandit Edition Trans Am. I would consider a swap at that point, but or a 1970 Roadrunner. But yeah, no, the X3 is not going anywhere.
And I'm a racer guy at heart, and we still have the turbo out in the garage and all that. So unless I get my hands on a modern car to replace it, I'm not fond of debt. So
no, and I'm the more I see content coming up on the Pro XP or the new Pro R, the more stoked I am for it. I want to start hearing some. Oh, I saw some pictures today. They've showed up at some dealerships as well.
Demo cars.
Yeah, I'd like to see some real world feedback from some real world users before I get too crazy on it. With any new model, there can have a tendency to be a little bit of bugs that need to get worked out, and I really want to see what the big power developers do with this motor.
There's some posts coming out from the Mint 400s this weekend, and there's some Pro Rs out there that are getting built by certain manufacturers, and you'll notice that all of them are completely stock, but they have a wrap or they have different wheels, or they don't really have all the upgrades yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to see what they do, third aftermarket wise on those cars. Super excited to see what someone like, not Highlifter, but Highlifter's already coming out with some, but the like HCR and Deviant and all these guys that make suspension components for them. I'm excited to see what they do with the new setups and what that looks like. I'm excited to see on this Ranger, what's possible, what guys do as far as hacking into these things and making them cooler and awesomer.
I don't expect immediate activity in that ballpark, though. I think people are going to kind of wait and see how it's selling before they go too crazy on trying to hop them up.
Like we said, it's 90-some% compatible with existing Ranger stuff. So
Sure.
you could go get an HCR kit for this right now,
Right.
and make it a long travel EV.
Yeah, and I think some of the people that actually do stuff like this are probably going to wait and see who's buying it before they go. Because if it's just municipalities, like what's
as far as the aftermarket, looking to see if what's the honeypot
Right.
look like.
And plus, at 110 horsepower right out of the gate that comes on immediately, like you don't have to go too crazy on making it much.
And that's the same
faster.
horsepower that the XP1000s have.
Right.
The Razor XP1000s.
Right.
So, that's plenty of horsepower to keep people happy.
Well, and you got like 125 on a YXE stock, and I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if the Ranger beats these things on like a 100-yard dash.
Yeah.
Because the power is instant.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you have the traction. So,
That's what four-wheel drive's for.
I think there's some huge opportunity for people to start learning the process of getting into these, as far as performance tuners go. I think there's a huge opportunity for performance tuners like Evo and Wayland and all these other different guys that are tuning these things to start looking at what's the process, what are the tooling that we have to get into these machines and hop them up, because this is coming down to the sport machines eventually.
Right. That's, you're going to see an electric Razor probably within the next 5 years. I'd be shocked if you don't.
Yeah, I would say probably the next 3 to 4 years.
Possibly, yeah.
But they might be working their way backwards, right? They might be working their least sport to the sport, and the sport might be, 10 years out. Who knows?
Right.
So
it's interesting to see where everything's going, man. I'm starting to see some scuttlebutt and hear some rumors about some stuff that's a little bit concerning, but as it pertains to what Can-Am and Polaris is doing, it's everything right now is trending in an awesome direction.
Right.
But I heard a rumor that Yamaha's not making the YXZ anymore, so everything's behind the RMAX, and like, what are we doing?
I don't know. I think they're more like, it still sells. People still buy them. We'll just keep selling them until they stop buying them.
Well, I mean,
there's obviously going to be a threshold where.
But we've seen nothing on 2022.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
it's disappointing.
I think it'd be super cool if they came out with a sport version of the RMAX, like that wasn't so tall, that was a little bit wider, a little bit, more capable. Like take the front half of it and then put a sport rear end on it and make it a cool car.
Well, I think that the market is open for the taking in a lot of ways for an ambitious company.
Right.
I mean, that we all have our brand that we get behind. But has anybody perfected this? Has anybody built a machine that is absolutely 100% leaps and bounds better than the other one, with the exception to the Razor and the X3, because those are kind of the pinnacle machines out there,
right,
by far. But I just wish another OE would take a shot at them.
What I was thinking about the other day was most of the market, in my opinion, is kind of bored with the machines. And it's currently a race to who can outspend the next person for the coolest, biggest car.
Yeah, and COVID's not helping anything.
And COVID doesn't help that, right? But I think that the market is ripe for an innovator to come in and say, we're doing something different. We're doing something that looks different, something that handles different, something that operates different, and actually bring a competitor's edge in the idea that there's just a different option. Like the YXZ was that. The YXZ used to be the different car.
The YXZ was a revolution. It wasn't an evolution. It was a revolution,
and
it had a freaking clutch.
And as soon as they started hitting the dunes and the race tracks and all that stuff, they started winning.
Right.
And the other guys, the Polarises and the Can-Ams,
had to start turboing.
They had to start turboing, and they started putting out bigger, faster cars. But they didn't really change anything, right? It was iterational growth. And the YXZ was a completely different animal. But then Yamaha was like, good enough.
Yeah, and then Honda comes out with the Talon.
Yep.
The Talon's not going to dominate a racetrack.
But the Talon is just another YXZ in a different brand.
But it's great, though. It really is. It's not perfect by any stretch, but it's great. Now,
if someone came out with a
freaking further.
Yeah, but if someone came out with a hybrid paddle clutch, whatever, like some super aggressive car with some awesome styling and some different creature comforts that you don't normally get.
Well, I mean, if Yamaha and Honda came out with a juggernaut right now, considering how far out we are on RZRs, how far out we are on X3s, Can-Am isn't even giving dates now. They're if you put an order for a Can-Am right now, who knows when you're going to get it.
I don't think they're accepting orders until spring.
It's possible, but like if you take if Yamaha or Honda came out with a new sport machine, they're going to sell every freaking one of them right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
it seems like a missed opportunity to drop
100%.
To not be dropping a new car.
Right.
So anyways, I'm always stoked on new technology. I'm a nerd at heart, and this stuff all gets my juices flowing. So
can confirm.
So cool launch. I think seeing some of the production value being upgraded just shows that Polaris is committed to upping the game as they grow and grow and grow. So stoked about that. I'm super excited to see what Can-Am does in the coming years, and how they play off of the Polaris launches. And I'm excited to see, just the aftermarket adopt electric and see what they can do with it. So shout out to my son. He turns 12 today. It's his birthday. Happy birthday, Braden.
Happy birthday, dude.
And until the next time, guys, peace.